For millennia, humans have gazed up at the stars, wondering if we are truly alone in this vast universe. While skeptics dismiss the idea of extraterrestrial life, there are moments, strange, chilling, and unexplainable, that make even the most devout among us stop and question. Particularly so given the recent flood of both footage, eyewitness testimony, and whistleblower accounts that have been exposed in United States Congress. From eerie lights in the skies to spectacular UAP formations, these clips blur the line between science fiction and reality. Let's dive into 5 UFO and alien encounters that convince us we're not alone. As always, hit those lights, sit back, and keep an open mind as we prepare to explore the unknown. Number 5. Our first video was taken by a passenger on board United Airlines flight UA2359, travelling from Chicago O'Hare Airport to Newark in December of 2024, and has left us all scratching our heads here at Top 5s. Take a look. Cruising at an altitude of a little over 30,000 feet, the Boeing 737 airliner was on a regular scheduled flight when passengers started reporting strange light outside the windows, calling their attention to the bewildered onboard staff. The video's uploader began filming with their phone, capturing 4 stationary shining orbs, staggering over a number of miles, and hanging motionless above the thick cloud base below. All appear quite large and emit an identical yellowish hue, with no flashing lights, blinkers, or strobes, as are legally required by all other commercial, private, or military aircraft. The UAPs look to be in formations of 2, each light on a parallel path with the other, and as the camera pans left at the start, a smaller white light object can be seen travelling from left to right, almost beneath the first UAP, yet the verdict is out. Half of the comments suggest this is simply another plane in the distance, whilst others think it's another of the formation, perhaps returning to join up. It's interesting to note that 2 other aircraft actually can be seen in the clip at around the 10-second mark. Both are crossing right between the lights, yet in separate directions and different altitudes, but can clearly be distinguished by their blinking navigation lights. Viewers contend this adds credibility to the sighting, as the UAPs do not share any resemblance with the aircraft, and stand out as far larger and brighter, not to mention stationary. During World War II, the term Foo Fighters was conjured by Allied pilots to describe the myriad unexplained aerial phenomena and mysterious flying objects they encountered during missions, sighted all over the globe and in different theatres of combat. These were often described as glowing orbs or light, resembling those in the clip, and reportedly followed aircraft or moved in seemingly intelligent ways. However, none were ever shot down or captured to provide an explanation. Whilst drones have been offered as an explanation, we find it hard to believe that any of those commercially available can reach operational heights of over 5 miles up. What do you think of this clip? Number 4. Captured on live television during a Tuesday morning Fox News broadcast at 4:43 AM, the following clip is simply peculiar and looks like something straight out of an alien invasion movie. Take a look. As soon as the clip starts, dozens of white light orb-like objects can be seen looping, diving, and weaving in the early morning dawn, right above the brightly lit city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As many as 42 separate UAPs can be seen flying in a strange series of patterns, much to the confusion of the Fox News readers who are watching. Initially, it's easy to dismiss the video as birds in flight. However, a lot of us have our doubts about this mundane theory. Despite the city's artificial lights below, there's no real feasibility that they would be strong enough to reflect off any flying birds above, particularly not in any number, such as this, or even at this altitude. If this were the case, surely we would see videos like this all the time above any major city, and it would be a common occurrence. As commented by one Reddit user, You know why it's not birds, because birds are everywhere, cities are everywhere, lights are everywhere, videos like this are not everywhere. Further to this, the UAPs in the clip appear to emit some sort of contrail behind them, similar to commercial aircraft flying at altitude. However, there is not enough detail in the video to identify any form of man-made propulsion system. Curiously, the object's movements are more reminiscent of a fish than a bird, with slow sweeping motions and lazy arcs, and some of them seem to fade out or even disappear before reappearing in another location. Whilst researching this clip, we came across another similarly bizarre incident, yet this one was reported over 500 years ago. Around 4 or 5 AM on April 14, 1561, residents of Nuremberg, Germany, looked skywards and witnessed a dreadful apparition. There stood a ball of partly dull, partly black ferrous colour, likewise on both sides and about the sun, such blood-red ones, and other balls in large numbers, about 3 in a line and 4 in a square, also some alone. The stunned crowd of onlookers described how the orbs then all started to fight among themselves. The globes flew back and forth vehemently for over an hour. Then they became fatigued to such an extent that they all fell from the sun down upon the earth as they were all burned and then wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black smear, very long and thick, sighted. The shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. No concrete explanation has ever been proposed for this medieval phenomenon, but it was again reported in Switzerland in 1566, so it seems the incident captured on video is perhaps not so unique. What do you make of it? Number 3. This video is one that has converted many who viewed it from skeptic to believer, and was released along with a frustratingly small selection of other previously classified UAP footage by the Pentagon in 2021. Filmed from a military helicopter patrolling the airspace above a US Joint Operations base in Iraq in 2017-2018, the footage was captured using a mounted FLIR, forward-looking infrared camera, that detects infrared radiation or heat emitted by objects in the environment and converts it into visible images on screen. The camera tracks a bizarre-looking UAP as it floats or projects itself over the base, changing its heat signature from one moment to the next, only visible through IR, as alternating black and white shades. Highly irregular for any known living organism or commercial machinery/propulsion systems. As if this was the case, there would be other indicators such as smoke, compressed air, fuel or flame, such as from a jet's engine's afterburner. The UAP itself appears to have a rounded, unevenly surfaced upper section, with irregular pointed features, while the lower section is formed of some sort of trailing wires, stems, strands, or appendages of different length, resulting in it largely being referred to as the jellyfish UAP. Some have noted that it could be a drone, hence the lack of any identifying propulsion features, and whilst this is feasible, it's hard to imagine any drone, particularly one that looks as large as this, flying unnoticed above an operational US base. Not to mention it must be the strangest looking drone in the world. When the camera zooms out, the UAP appears to be fairly sized, distinctly visible against the backdrop as it travels past buildings, defense positions, and the perimeter fence, all the while not changing course or height, and unimpacted by weather. This discredits the popular theory that it could be a balloon, as these especially spin, bounce and drift in the wind, naturally never following a set, straight line pattern, but often rotating or changing direction freely. Jeremy Corbell, the UFO enthusiast, investigative journalist and friend of the channel, who first got hold of the footage, claims that the full video is actually longer than what's shown in this clip, during which the UAP slowly descends over a body of water before submerging beneath the surface. 17 minutes later, it re-emerges and shoots skywards at an unbelievable speed. However, much to the frustration of other researchers, the full clip has never been released. It's unsettling how nobody in the area reacts to the UAP as it passes, despite it travelling over 2 dogs, initially, and then 2 people walking in the open, where at least one of them would clearly have spotted this peculiar craft in the air. In theorising that, it may be invisible to the naked eye, and only viewable via FLIR or other such optical devices, it's eerie to think that there could be any number of these UAPs moving around us, unseen and undetected, every day. What do you think of this one? Number 2. Captured late one evening in Cornwall, England, United Kingdom, this clip will have even skeptics struggling to conjure up an everyday explanation. Take a look. As the clip starts, a series of glowing red and yellow lights can be seen in the distance, slowly flying from left to right, then turning back and splitting into what appears to be either 3 or 4 separate lights in a diamond formation. Astonishingly, the formation of 4 then merges into a single white light as the extreme left and right lights extinguish themselves, before this again splits into 2 distinct white lights, one beneath the other, travelling away from the camera. Unfortunately, the clip ends here, but the uploader spoke about the experience with a local news agency, reporting that the lights floated away into the distance and were also completely silent and did not move like anything I recognise, not even drones, also estimating that the UAPs were around 6 miles from their position. Bearing this in mind, the UAPs would have to be considerably large, powerful and bright to be easily visible at this distance, characteristics that a commercial drone simply wouldn't be able to achieve. Tor Point, where the sighting occurred, is relatively close to Plymouth, where many of Britain's key military installations are located, including the one nuclear repair and refuelling facility of the Royal Navy, Royal Marine Barracks, a coastal shooting range at Tregantle Fort and Plymouth Sound, a large dedicated area of water used by the Navy for training exercises. The proximity of this incident to Plymouth has split UAP enthusiasts' opinion on the sighting. Some believe that the lights, and who or whatever is controlling them, could be observing military activity or eerily displaying a show of force, as the UAPs seem to have no concern for stealth. In contrast, others have suggested that the lights could actually be experimental military hardware, but whether reverse engineered or not, we'll leave that up to you. Curiously, Cornwall and its surrounding areas have been a hotbed of UAP activity recently, with numerous sightings of mysterious lights hovering or zipping around the sky, low-flying craft and other unexplained phenomena, the most recent of which was reported on just January 27th this year. Number 1. Our final piece of footage comes straight from the crew of a medical evacuation helicopter operating out of the southwestern United States, and was recorded in January of 2025 during a routine flight from Yuma City to Phoenix, Arizona. Take a look. Flying using NODs, or night optical devices, the uploader, a former US Army medic turned flight nurse, claims the pilot of their helicopter observed what was initially presumed to be 2 aircraft moving south to north, while their helicopter was heading northeast at an altitude of around 2,000 feet. Notably, neither aircraft was showing up on the ADS-B system, an onboard tool that provides real-time information on nearby air traffic, enabling better situational awareness and navigational aid. Admittedly, the uploader writes that this system doesn't always display all aircraft, such as some other military craft, crop dusters, or paramotorists. However, the incident then turns even stranger. Neither of the UAPs displayed any standard aviation signaling lights, which are usually green, red, and/or white, and as mentioned earlier, are required by aviation law. They also couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Regarding this as peculiar, but not necessarily exceptional, the crew returned to their routine duties, noting that they were flying near restricted military airspace, which could perhaps explain the lights. That was until the lights split, one shooting upwards at a considerable speed, whilst the other descending rapidly before disappearing. But then more UAPs began to show up, promoting the flight nurse to start recording on their phone, aimed through a night vision device. Despite the video being just under 2 minutes, the crew watched the lights for around 3/4 of an hour as they darted across the night sky, dimming and then brightening, drifting between different altitudes, sometimes disappearing, to then flash back on, and forming up in a rough triangular formation. Intrigued by their sighting, the uploader even went to the effort of checking the flight radar for that night and location, finding no commercial or military aircraft in the vicinity or any training exercises that could account for the weird lights. Arizona is no stranger to unidentified aerial phenomenon, most notably the mind-blowing Phoenix Lights incident, which took place on March 13, 1997. Thousands of witnesses, among them law enforcement officers and pilots, including the actor Kurt Russell, reported a huge V-shaped craft with lights moving silently across the sky. Described as several football fields in length, witnesses said it moved slowly and silently, blocking out stars as it passed overhead. Whilst later that evening, a series of stationary glowing orange orbs appeared in a curved line over the Phoenix area. These lights hovered for several minutes before disappearing one by one and were caught on video camera, resulting in perhaps one of the most famous pieces of UFO footage ever. We'd love to hear from any former or serving military or commercial pilots in the comments below, letting us know if you've had any UAP sightings or experienced any potential extraterrestrial phenomenon. Thanks for watching, keep your eyes on the sky, and we'll see you next time.